Hello, virtual friends. Welcome back. It's Miss Gonzalez here. We are going to jump right into our social studies lesson for today. I just want to say, though, before I start, thank you guys for getting so good at doing your virtual learning and getting your things done. I'm so proud of you guys. You guys are doing so awesome. You're making the best of it, and that is so good. That's so amazing. I'm proud of you guys. So today we are going to outline the events that are leading up to the Declaration of Independence. So what I have for you is I have attached, after this video, I have attached to your team's assignment a link to a YouTube video that I think is pretty good on kind of recapping what we have talked about with the 13 colonies and kind of getting into what you guys and me are going to talk about today. So as just a little bit of our recap, we had just finished doing our 13 colonies. We went over the fact that things were looking a little and we started talking about our French and Indian War, and now we are going into the events that lead us up to our freedom. So I'm super excited to go over these things with you guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you guys because I went ahead and created a timeline for you. You can draw it on your own piece of paper and make notes with me, whatever you feel comfortable with. I do have my face-to-face kiddos doing the timeline with me, so I'm going to try and do that a little bit with you guys. It's a little harder, but we're going to make it work and it'll be great. So with that being said, let me share my screen. Okay. All right. Okay, let me do this more in a presentation mode for you. There we go. All right, my sweet friends. So we are going to start talking about the events that lead up to the Declaration of Independence, and we are going to view it inside a timeline. Now, on my lovely Social Studies Weekly that I have for you, it has a timeline on the back. However, since all of you lovely little kiddos are at home, you don't have this. Now, that's why I have it up here on a PowerPoint for you so that you can either pause the video if you need to and kind of just draw it out really quickly on a piece of paper, or if you already have your classroom notebook for me all done and ready, you can do that as well. Put it in your notes section. If not, a piece of paper is just fine. Just don't lose it. This will be very helpful for you. I always highlight the fact that doing the notes for me are very helpful. So I promise when I say that these things are for you, you got to trust me. You got to trust me, okay? So let's get started. Now, let me kind of do a little recap before I get into the very first timeline tick. Now, we had just finished the French and Indian War, and with the French and Indian War, the Great Britain had done a little bit better in that war towards the end. And even though they signed a peace treaty with France, they ended up coming out with a lot more. So with that being said, they came out on top. However, it took a lot of money to win that war. And so this is when they started taxing the American colonists. Now, the colonists were not happy about it, okay? And so Great Britain eventually took away a lot of those ridiculous taxes that they had done on them. And then we get to this point. We get to May of 1773, when Great Britain's Parliament passes the Tea Act. Now, this came right after they saw that it was too much for the colonists to be taxed so much because it caused anger, it caused hardship. It was just not a good place for them. So they took away all the ridiculous tax, like I said, but they kept this one so that they could show control over the colonists. They had to keep their foot down, so they kept their control. Now, they were not happy, though, the colonists. The colonists were not happy that they had a tax on tea. It's something that they drink all the time. So why do they need a tax on it? Well, of course, Great Britain, they were like, well, duh, you drink it all the time. We got to keep a tax on it so we can keep control of you. So this just kind of created some bad business, okay? Because it led to colonists just not buying from Great Britain. So this Tea Act that Great Britain passed is because they saw the colonists were not buying tea from Great Britain. They were trying to get it from somewhere else. And so they passed an act that stated that they had to get it from Great Britain. They made it impossible for the colonists to get tea anywhere else with this act. And of course, this led to an intense amount of anger, which leads us to December 16th, 1773, when the Sons of Liberty dumped the tea into the Boston Harbor. This is the Boston Tea Party, okay? So the Sons of Liberty is a group of people who needed to protest this ridiculous Tea Act that Great Britain had put upon them. So what they did was they protested by dressing up as American Indians and dumping. Let me see the number. I want to blow your mind with how much number it is. I'm going to refer to my Social Studies Weekly here. They dumped 342 crates of tea into the harbor. The Sons of Liberty dumped 342 crates of tea into the Boston Harbor to protest. This was their form of protest because they thought it was ridiculous that they could not get tea anywhere else and they only could get it from Great Britain. Okay, and it was a ridiculous tax. So this is how they protested, and they showed them. Unfortunately, it did not come out the way they wanted because in March of 1774, Great Britain passes the Intolerable Acts. Now, the Intolerable Acts is an act that the king passed. He passed some laws to punish the colonists for their actions. Now, you can think of this as the king. He is our adult in this situation, and he thinks it is intolerable of the colonists' actions. Okay, so he is our adult, and the colonists are our little kids. Okay, and the king is punishing the little kids. The adult is punishing the little kids for their intolerable behavior. Okay, so just kind of keep that in your brain bank. The whole point of intolerable. It is not tolerated. So just like how I do not tolerate meanness or bullying in my classroom or online, he did not tolerate the colonists' poor behavior. He did not like their form of protest. He thought it was awful behavior. So he passed these intolerable acts to keep them in control. All about keeping the colonists in control, if you see that pattern. Then we move on to September 1774, when the First Continental Congress met. Now, the First Continental Congress was 56 leaders made up from 12 of the colonies. Now, we know it's 13 colonies, but Georgia didn't send any representatives. However, the majority of the 13 colonies were represented by 56 leaders, okay? So 56 of their leaders from each colony all together came and met to have a huge discussion, a huge powwow about what in the lambda is going on. Now, they were not happy with Great Britain. Of course, this whole entire time, they're not happy with Great Britain. Okay, they were getting taxed. It was ridiculous. Now they're not happy with them. And so they're talking about what needs to happen. And they come to the conclusion that if Great Britain attacks any one of the colonies, they are attacking all of the colonies. So they are sticking together. They made a huge pact of friendship, and if one of them gets attacked, they all get attacked, and it's going to be ugly, okay? So with that being said, we move to April 19th, 1775, the Lexington and Concord attacks. Now, this is where the famous shot around the world happened. We'll talk about why that phrase is so infamous in this time. So, during this time, the British soldiers, okay, they were coming to march onto Lexington and Concord from Boston, Massachusetts, okay? Massachusetts, if you remember, is our colony at the very top that likes to hug New Hampshire, okay? It's at the very top. So they are moving from Bostonton down to Lexington and Concord because they want to start arresting rebels. Okay, so kind of like in Star Wars, when they're going around trying to find the rebels and trying to arrest them, that's kind of what's happening here right now, okay? They are going around trying to arrest all the rebels and take away their weapons for their own benefit, and so they don't have any. The more the merrier, right, is what they're thinking with taking everybody's weapons. Now, the colonists met these British soldiers there, okay? They met them there. And the funny thing is that no one knows who shot first. No one knows what side started the war. No one knows. No one knows who started these battles, who started this attack. No one knows. That is why we call it the shot heard around the world, because it was one shot and quiet, and then boom, it's all started, and it just went downhill from there. It was not pretty, okay? So let's move on to May 1775, when the Second Continental Congress met. Couldn't get it right the first time. We got to have a whole nother conversation. So let's regroup. Let's meet back is what these leaders said. They needed to regroup, and they needed to come up with a better option. So what they did was that they formed the Continental Army with George Washington as their general. Now, we got to keep George Washington in our brain bank. I know some of you already know who that is, but keep him in your brain bank because he comes in a lot later on, okay? So this, in the Second Continental Congress, is when they create the Continental Army, and they have George Washington leading them. So, with that being said, we are on our last one of January 1776, when the book Common Sense is written and produced, okay? So Common Sense was written by a man named Thomas Paine. Now, I really like Thomas Paine because he was a man who took an idea. He felt that the American colonists were so close to independence. He felt that everyone needed to know that and understand it and see the sides of it. So what he did was he made and wrote and did all the good stuff to make a book called Common Sense to inform people and to show them what a better and proper government needs to look like for them. He showed them a better way by writing a book. Now, a few months passed, and he had showed so many people what a better government would be like through his book. And I just think that that's amazing because he was one person and he made a huge difference, and now he's in our history books. So when you feel like you as one person does not make any difference, you are so wrong. You got to think of Thomas Paine and Common Sense and how he basically slid us into the rest of our freedom. He pushed us just a little bit more to get us to where we needed to be. Okay, so even if you as just one person give a little push and a little slide, you're still making a huge difference. It's amazing. It's amazing. Now, I think that, hold on. There we go. Okay. I had to get off this green chair. I think that this time in our history is very important for us to realize because we're getting into when we become the United States. Okay, so you guys got to keep this stuff in your brain bank for me. All right. Now, I was on a roll and I lost my train of thought there. Goodness gracious. This happens in class all the time, unfortunately. I just kind of bloop and then I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. All right, so I have that timeline for y'all. So if you need to go back and pause the video and write it down, please go ahead and do that. Write it down. Keep it in your notes. I would love that for you just because that's what I also have the face-to-face kiddos doing. And it's going to be very beneficial for you later on. So please, oink, oink. I'm awful at winking, but please write it down. It's going to be good for you. I promise it's going to be helpful. as well. You should always trust me. The basic base kids know what I'm talking about. They always trust me. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed my lessons. I know that some of the days I am showing you my very long lessons in class. That's just for you guys to see how it goes in class. And sometimes because the lesson in class is 1,000 times better than me just sitting here and reading it off to you. So I just kind of want to give you a little bit of what is happening in our classroom. I know the videos are long. I know they are. I know. So just bear with it. It'll be okay. I know that I laugh for like 10 minutes sometimes, but like I said in my expectations, we like to laugh daily as long as we stay on top of everything. So, with that being said, I just wanted to mention the whole me showing my videos of us in the class, just because I know that they're long compared to these. I understand, I know, but it's for your benefit, I promise. I know watching the whole video can be a drag. However, the face-to-face kiddos are here in school that long, and you guys are at home in your comfy clothes, and you are sitting where you want to sit. You're sitting in your own space, okay? So just keep that in mind when you don't like how long the videos are, okay? Also, I want to kind of, let you know that you guys have an ELA tile open now. We finally have everything situated with your ELA. We have it running and going. So if you have not already, please make sure that you check the ELA tile because there's an assignment in there. Please, 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 please check it. I will also leave a reminder in your team's assignment to make sure that you check the ELA assignment because there's going to be something in there for you. We are starting spelling and a lot of your ELA work. So I hope that you guys don't forget to go in there. All right. And I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of the week, and I will see y'all then. All right. Bye.